What if I told you that the most connected man in crypto just raised $700 million? But he's not planning to buy Bitcoin. No, he's planning to rebuild the global financial system around it. David Bailey, the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, just launched Nakamoto HQ, a new entity backed by mega investors with a singular mission: to run MicroStrategy's playbook, not in one country, but in all of them. And they're starting with $700 million, but this is just the beginning. So how do they plan to pull this off? What's the real strategy behind this Bitcoin standard movement? And more importantly, how can you front run the biggest capital rotation in crypto history? In this video, I'm going to break down everything: the blueprint, the players, and the money. And why this might be the most bullish thing to happen to Bitcoin since the ETFs were approved. Now let's dive in. The most connected man in crypto just raised $700 million. Here is his plan. So last week I found this thread from Bitcoin for corporations, and it said, just in, David Bailey's holding company Nakamoto HQ raises $710 million and announces a merger with 𝗗𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋 to launch a public Bitcoin Treasury strategy. Let's break it all down. So here you see a screenshot from Nakamoto's website. I believe their website is nakamoto.com. I just checked it right before I recorded this video, and you actually see a screen like this. It's pretty cool. You see like it's loading, initializing company, and it has a few interesting lines and teasers. But let's break down exactly what is going on. So David Bailey is actually the CEO of this company, Bitcoin Magazine. And Bitcoin Magazine is of course one of the go-to publications within the Bitcoin space and within the crypto space for all important news. And in addition to their digital publishing company, they also have some events like Bitcoin 2025, so the main Bitcoin event. They also have Bitcoin MENA for like the Middle East region, Bitcoin Amsterdam, and now Bitcoin for corporations. That's another thread. So actually this tweet that you're seeing here, Bitcoin for corporations, that's another one of David Bailey's companies, which is focused on helping other companies to establish their Bitcoin strategic reserves. So according to this article, so David Bailey's company merged with a publicly traded company called 𝗗𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋, which is a medical company or providing medical services, and together they are now publicly traded, and they have a bunch of money which they're going to use to, guess what, accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, but through a unique strategy. So here you see another announcement. David Bailey and holding company Nakamoto raises $710 million and announces merger with 𝗗𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋 to establish a Bitcoin treasury company. So this isn't just a new Bitcoin company, because there's a few of them out there already, but it is the next big Bitcoin acquisition company, because we're talking about one of the most connected people in the space, and he's a very interesting playbook that he's going to play out. So we've already seen strategy, so of course Michael Saylor's company, Metaplanet, we've seen 21 Capital, and now Nakamoto HQ is joining the party. And so we see all of these massive mammoth whale or whatever large animal companies you want to call them, but they're all entering the space, and they're backed by hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in capital. And here, all of that is of course powered by the massive success that all of these Bitcoin acquisition companies are having. So Metaplanet, which is a Japanese publicly traded Bitcoin acquisition company, delivers a record-breaking first quarter with massive Bitcoin treasury growth. So Metaplanet reports record Q1 results with almost 7,000 Bitcoin and a 170% Bitcoin yield and 593 million yen in profit, proving the Bitcoin treasury model can scale and can outperform. Interesting. Of course, we also know Michael Saylor. So Michael Saylor is running this company called MicroStrategy, or nowadays they're called MicroStrategy. They are the pioneers amongst the Bitcoin treasury companies. For the past 4 to 5 years have been accumulating Bitcoin by using the profits of their software as a service business unit. by raising money on the debt and the equity market and by engineering a bunch of different financial products to raise more money. So their goal is to raise $84 billion worth of capital to buy more Bitcoin. And with their strategy, they have actually become the best performing stock on the stock market, even outperforming Nvidia, Google, Apple, Amazon. So of course, with all of their success, more people are looking from the sidelines and want to get a slice of that pie. And that's why we now see sort of a trifecta that was forming Strategy, Metaplanet, and 21st Capital, which was a Bitcoin acquisition company which was founded by Jack Mallers, the CEO of Strike. And this is a collaboration between Tether by SoftBank and a bunch of other, Cantor Fitzgerald. So a bunch of really big players are coming together in 21 Capital. And then now we have Nakamoto, which is another Bitcoin acquisition company led by another massive industry leader. So yeah, that is the newest contender in the corporate Bitcoin accumulation race. Nakamoto Inc., they already raised $710 million. And their mandate, because investors don't just give large sums of money. They give a mandate, an investment thesis, like, hey, if you spend the money in this way, then we are willing to give you this amount of money in order to fulfill that mission or in order to fulfill this goal. And their mandate is to stack as much Bitcoin as possible. Here is a tweet by David Bailey. And here he actually explains what the game plan is of Nakamoto. So David Bailey is saying, the goal is to run the MicroStrategy playbook in every country. So MicroStrategy right now is based on the US stock market. We have Metaplanet, which is based in Tokyo Stock Exchange. We have the blockchain group, which is listed, I believe, in Paris on the stock exchange, so in France. And he wants to see Bitcoin treasury companies being run in all of these countries, so that every single country has a go-to Bitcoin treasury company. And David Bailey says that Nakamoto HQ wants to be the mother company funding all of these different individual companies in every single country that are going to acquire Bitcoin. So they're saying that their Bitcoin yield will be a multiple on a multiple. So they are the mother company that is owning these subsidiaries in all of those individual companies within all of those different nations. So David Bailey is saying we're building the Nakamoto nation. Interesting. So yeah, I believe that's a very interesting strategy because MicroStrategy is coming out with all of these financial instruments to raise more money, and they've been doing that very well, and it's a very creative way. Metaplanet is targeting the Asian market, and the blockchain group is targeting the European market. But this particular entity, Nakamoto HQ, wants to target every single country. And I do believe that localization, so you have two different strategies, globalized and localized. And I believe that David Bailey is understanding the need for localized investment vehicles, but having it all owned by one mother company. So I do believe that that's another very creative angle in order to gain an edge in this market and a unique strategy. So I'm excited to see all of this happening right in front of our eyes right now. And in case you didn't know, at the end of May, there is a big conference in Las Vegas. It's called Bitcoin 2025. And it's actually where all of the industry leaders and everyone in the industry comes together. And Nakamoto is going to be the headliner on the event. Well, interestingly enough, Nakamoto HQ also owns this event. So Bitcoin 2025, that's one of their business units. So it kind of makes sense that they're going to speak, but they're sort of presenting it like they're different entities. But in reality, they are very much interlinked. But I like that David Bailey is using his platform in order to reach a large community within the crypto space. Yeah. Hey guys, by the way, if you're watching this video right now and you like what you're hearing and you enjoy the alpha, the breakdown of everything that's going on, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be posting regular videos just like this one to help you get an advantage in the market, to help you to position yourself for what's coming next. And that being said, let's continue. So yeah, Nakamoto is going to be the headline sponsor. So that means that David Bailey is going to speak amongst other big headliners like J.D. Vance, Jack Mallers, Cynthia Loomis, Eric and Don Trump, Michael Saylor, and a bunch of other people. So here you see David Bailey actually already on the poster of the event, or the design, graphic, whatever, the promotional material of the event. That's going to be very interesting. So yeah, Nakamoto is a merger between this Nakamoto HQ, David Bailey's holding company, and Kindly MD, which was a medical services company. And the more Bitcoin these firms are buying, the less Bitcoin remains on the open market. And I keep hammering this down in every single one of my videos because the best predictor of whether something is going to go up in value over the long term is by looking at first principles, breaking it down into the most simple to understand mechanics, supply and demand. Now we're seeing these large Bitcoin acquisition vehicles popping up, and they're swallowing up all of the supply, and they're increasing the demand because more and more investors from different institutions, different pension funds, different hedge funds, and now also different countries, because Nakamoto HQ is going to set up individual investment vehicles listed on different stock markets in different countries. So yeah, he's going to do a localized strategy to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. And the more Bitcoin these companies gobble up, the less Bitcoin will be on the open market. And these companies are swallowing up the supply fast. Here is a diagram of the top 10 public companies that are holding Bitcoin and the number of Bitcoin that they're holding. So MicroStrategy, actually I believe that this chart might be slightly indicated, but it shows you the order of magnitude of how big the holdings are from these companies. So MicroStrategy right now already holds more than 500,000 Bitcoin. I believe almost 550,000 Bitcoin. Marathon Digital, which is a mining company, they own like 40,000 or 30,000 Bitcoin. Galaxy Digital, also something in that magnitude. Then Tesla holds something like 20,000 Bitcoin or 10,000 Bitcoin. Coinbase, 9,000 Bitcoin. Hut 8, 10,000 Bitcoin. Riot Platforms, another miner, 10,000 Bitcoin. Block, Jack Dorsey's company, so the founder of Stripe. CleanSpark, another Bitcoin mining company. Metaplanet is this Japan-based Bitcoin acquisition vehicle. So yeah, all of those companies combined, they're holding probably more than 600,000, 700,000 Bitcoin, and all of that is happening in a very short time span. So imagine if we just extrapolate this into the future. All of the hundreds of millions and billions that are pumping into Bitcoin to buy up all of the supply. Soon, there will not be enough for everyone to go around. And these companies, they have a mandate. Their mandate from their investors is to buy up as much Bitcoin as possible. So, yeah, it's going to be a bidding war amongst those companies. Who has the deepest pockets and who is willing to bid the highest amount of money to buy up all of that Bitcoin. I do believe Michael Saylor is very well positioned to do that, but now we're seeing different flavors of his strategy popping up, like Metaplanet, like the blockchain group, like 21st Capital, and Nakamoto HQ. And here you see another chart, which is the Bitcoin illiquid supply. So what is a Bitcoin illiquid supply? That's the number of Bitcoins that are not really moving. So the illiquid supply is the black line here, and the orange line is the price of Bitcoin. So the higher the price of Bitcoin goes, the more illiquid the supply seems to become, strangely enough, because people are, well, not strangely enough, because people are slowly understanding how powerful it is to just hodl Bitcoin, to buy Bitcoin, to accumulate Bitcoin by buying, mining, trading, whatever means, just stacking as much Bitcoin as possible, because they see that Bitcoin is increasing in value over time, and it way outperforms other types of investments like real estate, stocks, bonds, luxury watches, those kind of things. So yeah, less and less Bitcoin is now moving, and all of the Bitcoin that's still available on the open markets is now slowly being swallowed up. Here's a tweet by Simply Bitcoin, bullish 2.4 million Bitcoin left on exchanges. So we're seeing that the reserves on exchanges are decreasing very rapidly, meaning that all of the big guys are buying up the supply behind the scenes. And the lower the supply on exchanges, the sooner we will actually hit the supply crunch or the supply shock that most of us are predicting and hoping for, that will send the price of Bitcoin soaring. So let me know in the comments below if you believe that 2025 is going to be the biggest bull market in history. Type yes if you believe that that is still in play. Type no if you believe that that is not in play. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts below. Okay, so here we see another tweet against Wall Street. Our Will, who opened a 5x short, has increased their position to 116 million and is already down 10 million. So the shorts right now are under pressure because the market seems to be moving towards the upside. Meanwhile, another trader has a $110 million position open with a 40x long and is now $10 million in profit. So the coming days are about to get even more crazy. So we're seeing these big players taking bets on either side. Either the market is going to pump really hard, or either the market is going to dump really hard from here onwards. Some people believe it might be a double top formation, just like the previous bull market. But I believe that this bull market is just getting started. So here you have my answer. I believe it's just getting started. We just survived the Trump tariff fears. The market got spooked. We're now recovering. We're close to, we're hovering around new all-time highs. So I do believe that if we're breaking through it, we're going to break through it really hard and fast. And we are then going to see new heights, and we're going to soon enter price exploration territory or price discovery territory, meaning that there is no previous history of us being in those price zones, and that can be very interesting. So I like that. Then every new acquirer shrinks the float and raises the floor. That's exactly it. So Michael Saylor is of course the pioneer, and he's saying the simplest Bitcoin strategy that everyone can follow is just just buying more Bitcoin or just accumulating more Bitcoin. And that's just the most simple strategy. Obviously, Michael Saylor, he wants to get an edge on the market. So he is using other people's money to buy Bitcoin. He's creating all of these financial instruments. But that's something that you can do when you're a publicly traded company or when you have a really solid track record. But for most people, that is not really an option. So there's a few options that you can use to gain exposure to Bitcoin. The first option is to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. The second option is to accumulate or to open positions in these Bitcoin acquisition companies like MicroStrategy, Metaplanet, 21 Capital, and Nakamoto HQ. The third one is, for example, to mine Bitcoin. So those are all different strategies with the same goal, to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible over the long term. But different strategies to achieve the same goal. Now here's another tweet by Kevin Lance Murray. He's saying, just in, corporate demand for Bitcoin in 2025, now outpacing new supply with a factor of 3.3x. The halving already happened, but this is the real supply shock. So corporations are buying way more Bitcoin than is being mined by the miners. So when more of it is being bought up than actual new supply being released on the market, it generally means we're getting ready for this massive supply shock. And the big guys, the Nakamoto HQs, the MicroStrategies, the BlackRocks, the Fidelities, they have a long-term perspective. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of patience, and they have a long-term perspective, whereas the average investor, the retail investor, has a very short-term time span. So why is this important? Because when this Bitcoin is taken off the market, then it is not very likely for it to come back on the market very soon again, because the mandate of these companies is just to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible over the long term. And they have an investment thesis, and you know, amongst the institutions, there's a belief that one Bitcoin could hit one Bitcoin could hit $1 million per Bitcoin by 2030, and that in the next 20 years, one Bitcoin could be worth somewhere around $13 million per Bitcoin if we see a big redistribution from the global wealth, from assets like real estate, bonds, equities, gold, into Bitcoin. So that's going to be interesting. According to the CEO of BlackRock, he believes that one Bitcoin could actually go to $700,000 per Bitcoin this bull market cycle. That's going to be very interesting. But let's see. But one thing is clear, holding dollars or fiat in general isn't the smartest move anymore, because fiat money is losing value over time because of money printing, because central banks keep on expanding the money supply, and the more units of money are in circulation, the less valuable every unit of money becomes, and the less goods and products you can buy with that same unit of money. On the other hand, Bitcoin is scarce. There's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be in circulation. At the same time, the demand for Bitcoin is picking up. So the price of Bitcoin denominated in dollars, euros, pounds keeps on going up, meaning that you can buy more products and services with, more products and services over time as your purchasing power goes up. And Bitcoin treasury companies are the new corporate edge. So I was listening to a YouTube video about a Bitcoin corporate treasury event where there were a bunch of different speakers out there talking about Bitcoin treasuries and their visions on it. And some of those leaders said that if you as a publicly traded company cannot outperform the S&P 500's performance, then if you cannot outperform the S&P, then many investors are not incentivized to invest in your company. Instead, they will just invest in the S&P 500 or outperformers like the FANG stocks or the Magnificent Seven. So instead, if you cannot outperform the growth of the S&P 500, you should be accumulating Bitcoin with your profits, because Bitcoin will allow you to outperform the S&P 500. So then you will get an edge on the rest of the companies on the stock market. So it's no longer becoming optional for many publicly traded companies to acquire Bitcoin. It's becoming a must, at least if you want to gain capital, gain attention, and grow your market cap as a company. So yeah, we saw that Tokyo's Metaplanet adopt a Bitcoin treasury strategy as a core treasury asset, and it absolutely exploded. Now Nakamoto HQ is also here on the block. They're the new kid on the block, and if it plays out, their new twist on strategy's playbook, then they're also going to accumulate a lot of Bitcoin. Well, just with $710 million, which they already raised, you can already acquire a lot of Bitcoin. However, what these companies are doing is they acquire Bitcoin, then Bitcoin appreciates in value, then they use that extra value to borrow against, to get more capital, to buy more Bitcoin. Then they use the price appreciation of that Bitcoin to borrow more money, to buy more Bitcoin. So they keep levering up towards the upside to gain more capital, to buy more Bitcoin. And that's the play that many of these entities are doing right now. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you believe that these Bitcoin treasury companies are going to pump up the price of Bitcoin, or do you believe that these treasury companies might actually be the biggest bubble in the Bitcoin market and might actually be its biggest risk? So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts as well about that in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching this video, then do me one quick favor, smash the like button. That will be good feedback for me to understand if you enjoyed watching this video and if I should make more videos just like this one. And if you haven't done so yet, also make sure to subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be posting regular videos just like this one to help you to maximize your profits in the market and to help you to understand everything that's going on by breaking down complex developments just like this one and to tracking the numbers and to provide you the alpha. All right. Thanks for watching, peace out, take care, and I will see you in the next one.